臨拆境嗰日就要俾3萬，如果唔係就燒報警。我覺得好離譜啊！嗰啲人嗰啲樣咧仲係。
Why did the guy shoot you 9 times? Was it drugs or something?
He was paid to do it.
He was paid to do it.
Yeah.
I've got a sneaky suspicion that every block of flats here, look, are drying out shark fins. They're more exposed because they've got no cover on them. This one here has got a cover on them.
We all know that the world of organized crime is dangerous, but some celebrities have made the mistake of getting too close to the wrong guys. In this video, we'll look at some of the most famous cases of celebrities who got involved with cartels and the devastating consequences they faced. Number 10. Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan is known for his acrobatic fighting style and his unmatched sense of humor. Some of his most famous movies include Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon, and The Karate Kid. Like his movies, he also had to fight real-life villains. He got involved with the infamous Chinese Triads during his rise to fame. The Chinese Triads are widely recognized as highly secretive organizations that remain enigmatic to most people, and they infiltrate organizations. They also infiltrated the Chinese movie industry, and they treated actors with no respect. Jackie was displeased with the unjust treatment of Hong Kong artists in the 1980s and 1990s as they were harassed by triads. He declared that he would not tolerate any more intimidation from the triads and bravely took a stand against them. In earlier times, artists were coerced by triads to work on projects at gunpoint, with Andy Lau being one of those affected. The situation escalated as triads resorted to intimidation tactics to exploit artists financially. For instance, artists might be offered $100,000 for a movie, only to receive a mere $2,000 or even less in the end. Surprisingly, even the martial arts veteran Jackie Chan was not exempted from such experiences.
我就話嚟到現場，先俾5萬佢哋，跟住每日俾5000。臨拆境嗰日就要俾3萬，如果唔係就燒報警。我覺得好離譜啊！
During the promotional events for CZ12, Jackie Chan shared an interesting revelation. He disclosed that, like many other Hong Kong artists, he had also faced the distressing situation of being blackmailed or coerced into filming certain projects. He mentioned that there was a time in his career when triad members pursued him. He had to seek asylum in the United States, but as soon returned to Hong Kong, the gang members were on his trail once again. Recounting his experiences, the veteran actor said, "After landing from the United States, I was immediately under fire. I had to keep guns on me at all times and also grenades sometimes. In Hong Kong, when I went to a restaurant for dinner, I was surrounded by dozens of triad members armed with large knives. I showed them my gun and had 2 more inside my jacket." Aside from standing up for himself, Jackie also took a stand against the triad's pursuit of his contracted artists like Maggie Cheung, Joey Wong, and Jackie Cheung. To combat the triads, he reportedly invested $500,000 to enlist help from individuals from mainland China. These individuals were there to back him up against the triads and leave once their job was done. If any of them got injured, Jackie promised to assist their families. Jackie resolved conflicts with the triads and went on to establish the Hong Kong Performing Artists Guild to safeguard fellow artists in the field. He takes great pride in this achievement and emphasizes the importance of having effective leadership when addressing challenges. Jackie is described as an idealist with 3 dreams: world peace, universal brotherhood, and ending poverty in China. Number 9. Edward James. Olmos. Edward is reportedly being threatened by a dangerous organization known as the Mexican Mafia instead of being praised like other celebrities. It all started in 1992 when he made a movie called American Me, which depicted the harsh reality of Chicano prison gangs. Despite not receiving great reviews, he was troubled by the Mexican Mafia. After the movie was released, 2 individuals who had assisted in its creation met a tragic end. There were suspicions that their deaths were connected to the film, possibly as a way to send a message to Olmos. The Mexican Mafia, also known as Liam, was displeased with the way they were portrayed in the movie. The film creates a blurred boundary between reality and imagination. by insinuating that a key member of the group was killed by his own gang, leading to a strong sense of anger within the group. Olmos considered applying for a concealed weapon permit to safeguard himself, but he was rejected by the authorities, who believed he was not facing imminent danger. The gangs went to the extent of sending death threats to him. We don't know how he escaped, but as of now, Olmos remains unharmed. However, the duration of his safety remains uncertain. He continues to live with the constant awareness that this gang could potentially target him at any given moment. Number 8. 50 Cent.
Right behind me is my grandmother's home. I came out like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, May 24th. She was bent over, actually planting flowers in the garden.
50 Cent is an incredibly influential rapper, known for his chart-topping hits such as In Da Club and Candy Shop, as well as his iconic album Get Rich or Die Tryin'. Nevertheless, his path to triumph was not devoid of challenges, one of which was a life-altering incident in 2000 when he narrowly escaped an assassination attempt. 50 Cent was fired 9 times with a handgun in a drive-by gunfire in front of his grandmother's house in South Jamaica, Queens, New York, on May 24, 2000. The rapper was outside his house when a car rolled up and someone from inside started blasting at him. 50 Cent got hit in several places, like his hand, arm, hip, legs, chest, and even his face. They rushed him to the hospital in a critical state, and he had to go through multiple surgeries to pull through.
And I walked over here to sit in the actual vehicle that my friend was waiting for me in, and the car pulled up. On the side of us, a guy got out the passenger seat of that car, came around behind it, and shot through the actual car.
The man who pulled the trigger at him was reportedly a low-level drug dealer. Shockingly, during the court proceedings, it was disclosed that a 3-person hit squad had specifically targeted him because he had written a song about the notorious drug kingpin, Kenneth Supreme McGriff. In 1987, McGriff's Supreme Team crew operated a narco empire that raked in a whopping $200,000 every single day. Not only that, but they were also linked to 8 homicides that year alone. John Reagan, a former associate of McGriff, testified that McGriff and 2 other gang members met after the assassination attempt, and in that meeting, Supreme said, "I got him." The rapper later mentioned how the incident made him realize the fragility of life and motivated him to push himself even harder to reach his dreams. He has incorporated that incident into his music, drawing inspiration from it for his songs and creating a deeper connection with his audience. Number 7. The Rolling Stones and Hell's Angels. A 1969 concert that ended in tragedy sparked a tense relationship between the Hell Angels and the British rock band, the Rolling Stones. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is a motorcycle club that was founded in California in 1948. The club is known for its criminal activities and organized crime. The Rolling Stones band brought the Hells Angels on as security for their free concert in December 1969, with the intention of maintaining order. The Hells Angels members were reportedly compensated with $500 worth of beer for their services. But things didn't go down as planned, and chaos ensued when the so-called security decided to use violence to control the unruly crowd. During the altercation, an 18-year-old black fan named Meredith Hunter got into a racially charged fight with some club members, and tragically, when he tried to defend himself by pulling out a gun, he was fatally attacked. The Stones noticed the issue but were unaware that Hunter had passed away. They decided to carry on with the performance, worried that stopping early might cause a riot. The aftermath of the tragic concert turned into a chaotic blame game. The Rolling Stones were frustrated by the accusations thrown at them for the disorder, while the Hells Angels were furious, believing that the band had unfairly made them responsible for Hunter's unfortunate demise. The band's refusal to pay the Hells Angels $50,000 legal fees for the murder trial only fueled their anger. Soon, rumors were circulating that they planned to seek revenge by kidnapping or murdering the lead singer of the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger. In order to ensure their safety, the Stones enhanced their security measures by adding 2 armed bodyguards to their team. They also made sure to travel using private planes and limousines. Whenever they stayed in hotels, they reserved entire floors exclusively for their entourage, restricting access to anyone else. In 1969, the Hell Angels planned to assassinate Jagger. The group made a plan to ambush the vocalist at his vacation house in Long Island, New York, and they decided to come by water. Unfortunately for them, a storm struck the boat, causing all the men to be thrown overboard. In another turn of events, Alan Pissarro, the Hells Angels member arrested for the murder of Hunter, was acquitted of first-degree murder charges in 1971 after claiming he acted in self-defense when he attacked Hunter. Number 6. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix is well known not only for his musical talent and iconic performances, but also for his struggles with substance abuse. Kim Hendrix had been playing the guitar since he was 15, so he decided to make a career out of it. He started performing at venues on the Chitlin circuit, and this led to him joining the Isley Brothers backing band. Then, in 1965, he got the opportunity to play with rock legend Little Richard. In 1965, Hendrix played with Curtis Knight, the Squires, Jimmy James, and the Blue Flames. Around the same time, Hendrix met Chas Chandler at Café Wah in Greenwich Village. In 1966, Chandler convinced Hendrix to move to London with him, and he became Hendrix's manager. Within a few months, Hendrix's new band, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, had 3 top 10 hits in the UK: Hey Joe, Purple Haze, and The Wind Cries Mary. Following his move to London and rise to fame, Hendrix continued to experiment with different addictive substances. One of these incidents of substance abuse resulted in Hendrix being abducted and held for ransom, without the famous guitarist even realizing it because he was high. John Roberts, a former mafia member convicted for trafficking, recounts in his autobiography that he thwarted a kidnapping plot against Hendrix in New York during the 1960s. In New York, Roberts owned a club named Salvation that served as the beginning of this crazy story. In an excerpt of the memoir, Roberts wrote, "I got involved in Jimmy's so-called kidnapping after he was grabbed by some guys out of Salvation. Jimmy was heavily addicted to substance use at that point. He went to Salvation seeking narcotics, and 2 young Italian men, not associated with the mafia, but aspiring to be connected, recognized him and saw an opportunity. They tricked Jimmy into going to a house outside the city under the pretense of getting him drugs, but intending to hold him for ransom. Thankfully, Hendrix was fortunate that Roberts was informed about the kidnapping by the manager of Salvation. Roberts and his partner, Ben Fonte, made several calls to find out the identities of the abductors. They then contacted the kidnappers and warned them to release Hendrix unharmed, emphasizing the consequences if they didn't comply. Recounting the experience, Roberts says, "Jimmy was released by them. The entire ordeal lasted around 2 days. Jimmy was so high that he likely didn't realize he was even taken. Andy and I waited about a week before going after those youngsters. We taught them a lesson they'll always remember." Number 5. Al Sharpton.
In my own mind, I was not an informant. I was cooperating with investigation.
Al Sharpton was born in 1954 in Brooklyn, New York. He became a civil rights activist at a young age and eventually rose to prominence as the leader of the National Action Network, a civil rights organization. In the 1990s, he became embroiled in a scandal involving the Genovese crime family. Sharpton is said to have turned into an informant for the FBI after he was recorded discussing coke deals with a drug lord of the Genovese crime family. The authorities supposedly used the recording against him to compel him to cooperate, ultimately convincing him to provide information on mafia connections if he wanted his freedom. The Genovese crime family is one of the 5 families of the New York Mafia. It was founded in the 1920s by Vito Genovese, a Sicilian immigrant. The family has been involved in a wide range of criminal activities, from racketeering, narco-trafficking, hire for murder, and other criminal endeavors. When Hal Sharpton agreed to be an informant, the FBI discreetly referred to him as CI7, a confidential informant who recorded conversations with mobsters using a hidden recording device, assisting in the downfall of individuals associated with the Genovese crime family. Agents provided Sharpton with a personalized Hartman briefcase that he used to document conversations related to mob hits, extortion plots, and the actions of Genovese crime leader Vincent Chin Gigante, who attempted to evade authorities by pretending to be mentally unstable. Though he has denied being an informant to the FBI, he said he only reached out to the authorities after being threatened with death by Buonanno and others due to his efforts to increase opportunities for African Americans in the business side of the music industry. Surprisingly, he is still a top politician today. Number 4. Steven Seagal. In the past, action hero Steven Seagal had a screen presence that was both calm and intense. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Seagal starred in action-packed films like Hard to Kill and Out for Justice, where taking on gangsters was a recurring motif. Most fans are well aware that his movie characters were far from being timid. The Aikido master showcased his skills by defeating his enemies in straightforward hand-to-hand combat. However, life imitated the movie when the mob targeted Seagal due to debt. Seagal and Julius Nasso were good buddies who became friends in 1986 and collaborated on various projects from 1990 to 2000. By the mid-90s, they even started their own production company. But Seagal-Nasso Productions came to an end during the 2000s when the two friends decided to go their separate ways. However, a dispute over money quickly escalated into a chaotic situation involving the mafia. Nasso sought assistance from the Gambinos to collect the debt owed to him by Seagal. Nasso stated that Seagal owed him $500,000 for a loan and millions of dollars for movies he chose to withdraw from. Nasso alleged that Seagal pulled out of the films following advice from his Buddhist advisors. The Gambino crime family is one of the 5 families of New York City. It was founded by Carlo Gambino in the 1950s, and it has been involved in a wide range of criminal activities and organized crime. A group of Gambino associates reportedly whisked him away in a luxurious limousine, changed vehicles, and eventually arrived at a restaurant where Ciccone and Casarino intimidated Seagal. As per the report, several weeks later, they returned to collect $700,000 from the actor. An investigation was carried out, and Nasso was arrested. He stood for trial and was found guilty. Nasso served a 1-year jail sentence for the scheme and was granted early release by a few months. Nevertheless, in 2013, Seagal appealed for a presidential pardon on behalf of his ex-partner, leading to Nasso's return to the film industry after his release. Later, in an FBI investigation, Ciccone and Casarino recounted how Seagal was the opposite of his persona in his movie. He was actually scared to death. But who won't be? Life isn't a movie. Number 3. The Ronnie Brothers.
How much has this trial cost you?
It's cost us roughly £8,000.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't suppose anyone likes the idea of spending that money for no reason at all.
Does it leave you broke, or how does it leave you?
It doesn't leave us broke, but at the same time it's a lot of money to have to pay out when money's innocent.
If you are acquainted with the infamous Cray twins, Ronnie and Reggie, you would know that they were notorious gangsters who ruled over London's criminal underworld during the 1960s. The notorious British criminals, commonly regarded as some of the most infamous after Jack the Ripper, were initially amateur boxers before embarking on a path of crime. Their unruly behavior led to their discharge from the army. Ronnie Cray, who identified as bi, and Reggie, who claimed to be straight, formed a partnership that became even more intriguing due to Ronnie's struggle with paranoid schizophrenia. The connection between the Ronnie brothers and the Beatles rock band may not be obvious, but their paths did cross in various ways. In the late 50s, the Cray brothers were associated with a Liverpool gangster named Jay Murray, who likely had interactions with the Beatles and their manager as they rose to fame in Northern England. When the Beatles moved to London, they frequented casinos owned by the Cray brothers, making them vulnerable to extortion due to their status as the world's biggest musical act and their mature tastes that contrasted with their clean public image. Brian Epstein, their manager, possessed not only a penchant for gambling, but also openly embraced his queer nature, alongside a fervent interest in rough trade. This unique blend of characteristics rendered him susceptible to potential blackmail, which the twins astutely recognized and exploited. Their target was none other than the Beatles, the music group they aspired to manage. Ronnie Cray paid a visit to Brian Epstein and explained his plan. But Epstein warned Ronnie that managing a band like the Beatles required a great deal of time and expertise. Feeling insulted by Epstein's words, Ronnie impulsively grabbed a random guy who happened to be in the room and forcefully inserted a 15-centimeter nail into his neck to prove his seriousness. Despite the shocking display, Epstein agreed to let the Ronnie twins manage the band for a short period. However, things didn't go as smoothly as they had hoped. Eventually, the twins realized that handling a band like the Beatles was too overwhelming for them. Instead, they decided to extort a large sum of money from Epstein. However, their ambitions didn't stop there. They also attempted to take control of a less famous band called the Kinks. The exact details of how the Ronnie twins managed the Kinks remain unknown, but it is safe to assume that numerous shady dealings were involved. Number 2. Gordon Ramsay.
I've got a sneaky suspicion that every block of flats here, look, are drying out shark fins. They're more exposed because they've got no cover on them. This one here has got a cover on them.
Gordon Ramsay is a world-renowned chef, restaurateur, television personality, and author. He's most famous for his shows like Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares, and MasterChef. During Channel 4's Big Fish Fight Season production, Chef Gordon Ramsay encountered a distressing incident in Costa Rica. This unfortunate event occurred while filming a segment on the illegal shark fin trade. In case you don't know, shark finning is the act of removing the fins from sharks and discarding the rest of the body at sea, leaving it to die. Of course, this barbaric act is considered illegal. He said that the gangs involved in shark finning operate from fortified compounds with barbed wire perimeters and gun towers. At one of these compounds, he managed to evade the gangs and climbed to the rooftop, where he saw thousands of shark fins drying in the sun. When he returned downstairs, the gang members doused him with a barrel of petrol. Then, several cars with blacked-out windows suddenly appeared, blocking his escape. He and his companions managed to get into their car and drive away. They decided to go to the wharf to continue filming, only to be met by individuals aiming rifles at them in order to prevent them from filming. Suddenly, a van arrived, and some suspicious individuals from the van started instructing them to stand against the wall. It was reported that the police arrived and recommended that they depart the country, warning them that if they were to step foot in that area, they would be killed. Number 1. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. is a legendary singer, dancer, actor, and comedian. He was a member of the famous Rat Pack with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and other celebrities. Sammy and Novak met in 1956 when they both appeared as guests in The Stephen Allen Show. Kim Novak was a famous Hollywood actress during the 1950s and 1960s. She starred in many classic films, including Vertigo with Jimmy Stewart, Picnic with William Holden, and Pal Joey with Frank Sinatra. She was known for her beauty and her ability to play a wide range of roles. Harry Cohn was Kim Novak's manager at the time. The infamous Harry Cohn was the central figure in their ill-fated romance, which unfolded in the heart of Hollywood. Harry Cohn was rumored to have sent more people to the cemetery than all the other moguls put together. He managed Columbia Pictures like a family business, which in a sense it was, as he had taken control from his brother Jack, who was in New York on the East Coast. Cohn aimed to establish himself as Hollywood's most formidable and ruthless tycoon. He would flaunt a riding crop, striking it against his desk to intimidate his staff. His desk proudly displayed a framed picture of his idol Benito Mussolini, a mafia boss, and his office was designed to resemble that of Ducey. During Novak's filming of Hitchcock's suspense thriller Vertigo, Sammy Davis made plans to visit the set and capture some photographs. Sammy wasn't a photographer, but he pretended to be one in order to spend time with Novak. They continued to bond because Novak was smitten, but Davis had a hidden agenda when he pursued the actress. He intended to defy racists. When news started circulating that they were hanging out, a few people in Hollywood felt uneasy, especially Harry Cohn, the boss at Columbia Pictures, where Novak was signed. He told her to stop seeing him because interracial relationships were considered an abomination at the time. Novak stated that she felt a sense of rebellion when she was advised not to see him, as something inside her resisted the idea. She also mentioned that she believed it was not anyone's concern. A Chicago gossip columnist shook things up on Jan 1, 1958, by publishing a story about Novak and Davis's romance. suggesting that marriage could be in their future. Cohn became furious and conveyed a message to Davis, who had previously lost one eye in a car accident, through his con associates in the mob. He warned Davis to terminate the relationship, or else he would risk losing his remaining good eye. That ultimately led to their breakup. Who among these guys do you find their story more incredible? Please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Until next time, stay safe.